So guys, here we go. The XF-5U. I'm gonna try to do some crazy maneuvers with it. Try to fly a little bit with it. So let's see how it is. And yeah, just do another video with the craziness of this flying pancake. So as you can see, it is a Navy aircraft, guys. So of course this thing can take off and land from a carrier, right? So as you're gonna see, we can do some crazy maneuvers. Like for example, take off from a carrier, but you gotta be careful with your engines to not hit the ground with the propeller. So yeah, that is something that you can do. So just be careful with it. But yeah, you kind of have to take off in a kind of a three-way position, like three-point position, right? But you will get the point. So let's see. There we go. And then, guys, look at this. We're gonna try to land, but look at this. So this is one of the maneuvers that I wanted to show to you guys. I already did a little bit of that in the first video that I did. But this thing, guys, it can actually kind of VTOL. It's not like a takeoff and landing that it's vertical, but it can maintain itself in a vertical position like this. So you just have to point yourself to the 90 degrees over here and maintain the nose there, and the engine will do the rest, right? And the crazy part is that the engines, guys, you have to think that on this aircraft, like, it's not only the wing itself, or whatever you want to call it, the pancake itself that produces the lift. The engines, they do in the lower airspeeds help produce lift, okay? So this is what you're gonna see happening, especially when you try to land on a carrier, that this aircraft needs the engines to produce a little bit of lift when you are in a very low speed situation. And you can see clearly this, that the engines and the propellers are good enough for you to actually do it. I mean, we are still climbing completely vertically, right? So you have to think that not only the flying pancake itself, the shape of the aircraft helps with the lift and how it flies, but the engines, if you didn't have such a strong engine and such a big propeller, it would never be able to do what it can actually do. And you can even try, for example, here to maintain kind of a leveled position. But as you can see, when you approach like the 30 something kilometers per hour over here, the nose of the aircraft is a little bit heavier than the backside, and it will start to fall down to earth, as you see. So it already started, and if you actually take off the engine, you completely lose everything on the of the control of the aircraft, right? So you gotta think when you're gonna get this thing, man, is that not only the flying shape of the vehicle is what controls the lift of the vehicle, the engines are hand in hand with that, right? So now we're gonna try to land this baby on a carrier, and I gotta say, I tried before, and it is probably the hardest landing ever to do on a carrier. And it has the weirdest landing hook of them all that I ever saw, right? So let's try. So look at that. That is the craziest thing. It's just so weird. And like I said, guys, you need the engines to produce a little bit of power so that you can actually land this thing. And always on a three position. Of course, normal prop aircraft, they normally do this as well, but oh my god, I overpassed it a little bit, but yeah, the engine saved me there. Did you see that? The engines basically saved me. So I'm gonna just try to do it again, but it is really hard to fly this thing on a landing with the carrier, because you don't see where you're going, basically. You have to have, I mean, all props that are Navy props, they're gonna land somewhat similarly to this, with the nose up, right, in a three-point position. But at the same time, this thing has to be in such a high up nose that it's way worse than anything else. Like, it's really bad. It's really difficult, right? And another thing, guys, is that, remember, the Germans, they in the war, they normally landed on a three-point position, but the Americans, they like to land in a normal American way, right, with a 2-point, right, with the main landing gears. But Come on. There we go. So not the perfect landing, but it was good enough. So it's very difficult. You kind of have to just push the aircraft down below, right? Or like up above, right? Because you have to slam the aircraft on the ground. And more than normal aircraft that you ever flew here. So it's a bit crazy. It really is a bit crazy, right? Yeah, guys. So like I was saying, the Americans, they like in the war to land with the two main gears and then lower the back wheel later, right? The tail of the aircraft later. But the Germans like to do 3-pointers. The Navy, they need to do 3-pointers. So yeah, this thing, it's nothing different from that. But the problem is, obviously, that this is way, way more than the other ones, okay? So another thing that I wanted to show to you guys is the max speed of this thing and also the uncompressibility that it has. So we're gonna just put for us to actually take off in the air, right? And you're gonna see something very interesting. This thing doesn't break its wings. What it does break in the max speed over here will be the control surfaces on the back of the aircraft. Remember, this thing doesn't have ailerons nor like a tail section that it's normal. It has basically ailerons that are part of the tail section. So it's a very different aircraft. And because of that, you have to be careful with the tiny wings that you have there because they are the ones that control the vehicle, okay? So this thing has an immense amount of max speed. Look at this. I mean, you can pass, through airspeed, I'm above 800 already. 900, Mach 0.8, and then starts to break itself. But even then, I can almost get to the 1000 mark without breaking the aircraft. And look at this. I mean, it becomes just a flying pancake. Of course, with this, you cannot control the aircraft anymore. But you get the point, right? So you can almost hit 1000 kilometers per hour going downwards without breaking the control surfaces. But you do break them eventually. So be careful. It starts to make it like 850 true airspeed at these altitudes. So you gotta just be careful. But you can push a little bit. You know, if you don't mind losing a piece here, a piece there, you can push a lot. And another thing, guys, is that this thing doesn't have any control compressibility. See? Even at the very high speeds that we are here, the aircraft still can push and pull a lot. Right? So let me gain a little bit of speed again. Like 750 or something. 800. And then you pull and the aircraft just do its thing, right? So it's a very different aircraft from something like a normal prop because it just does not compress. I mean, it does a bit, but it's very, very small things, right? Look at this. And it doesn't break its wings or anything. So I don't know if it's pulling a lot. I would have to compare to another aircraft. But in a general sense, guys, it is a vehicle that doesn't compress, which means that you can, even in the high speed of velocities, you can still pull a lot. And with that, you can make targets overshoot because nobody will lose this much speed because nobody's pulling this much at these BRs, right? This is a 5.3 aircraft. You will not see any jets with air brakes or anything. And even then, I don't think they lose so much energy on a turn like this aircraft. So this will have some things to consider. The first one has a very, very high speed capability, more than 900 kilometers per hour, if you don't mind losing a piece here or there. So it's pretty incredible. It doesn't like to accelerate when it's leveled, as you see. It doesn't have a lot of energy, so it takes a long time to accelerate, as you can see. Just like any normal prop, but it feels like it is a little bit more here. It produces maybe a lot of drag, right? Even though it has an immense amount of power. So it produces probably a lot of drag, especially with the propellers. So it takes a lot of time, but it has a pretty significant aerodynamic max speed. And at the same time, it turns like almost no other prop. But because of that turn is so incredibly tight, you will lose a lot of energy. So this is what you should expect from this aircraft, right? Taking a long time to accelerate, to regain its speed, but losing that speed quite quickly at the same time that it has a pretty significant max speed, right? So it's a pretty interesting flight model completely different than anything else that I ever saw, right? And that's the uniqueness of it, right? It is an aircraft that really puts to the test a lot of the pilot's abilities to control this thing, because if you know what you're doing, you can beat anything. I mean, seriously, guys, this thing will be a slow airspeed, you know, craziness of a prop, right? In a dogfight. But you have to remind yourself that when you lose too much speed, look at this, it becomes a normal prop or even worse because you are so slow, right? So at the end of the day, it is amazing, but it is difficult to use. We rely a lot on the pilot's ability to do stuff, okay? And yeah, guys, basically this is it. I wanted to show some other things, like, for example, a normal landing of this aircraft will be somewhat weird, because like I said, guys, you have to think that this thing has basically the usage of the engine to produce lift as well when you are landing in takeoff, or basically when you are slow, right? So in this case, for example, you will control, like, let me show it to you guys. So I will control 230 kilometers per hour, for example. I will take it down, nose up to maintain altitude, and then it will start to slow down. I'm maintaining the nose, see? Look at this. So it's not like a normal aircraft that, of course, the attitude will change depending on speed, but I'm losing like 10 kilometers per hour, not even that. It's more if I have the engine on or off that I start to lose or gain, you know, attitude or altitude, right? So it is an aircraft that relies heavily on the engine, not only on the aerodynamics. And I'm pretty sure that a landing such as this, for example, it is the perfect landing. A 3-point landing, kind of. It was kind of weird there, but you get the point, right? A landing that you don't basically try to land like an American aircraft. You just try to land like a German, basically, on World War II, right? 3-pointer, the safest, but less smooth, right? And the takeoff, guys, it's better to take off with the 3-point as well. Just, you know, point upwards and go. But it can do a normal takeoff, okay? So the normal takeoff will be something like this. You would put your nose down like this. But for a brief period of time that you see there, the propellers, they touch the ground. That's where you're gaining a little bit of speed to actually, you know, decompress the shock absorbers with the lift that the aircraft is producing, and then it stops to hit the ground, right? So you can do a normal takeoff. The propellers are pretty huge, but they don't touch the ground too much. I would just wait a little bit to do that, right? So basically this is it, guys. This is the XF-5U. I wanted to do another video explaining a little bit of the fly model, what it can do, what it cannot do. And yeah, this is what you should expect when you get the thing, okay? So I see you guys in the next one. Make sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and bye, guys. See you.